All right. Phenomenal morning, phenomenal morning, phenomenal morning. Listen, guys, I am your host, Sean Bryant East. Welcome. Welcome to another edition of the Breakfast with the Brand. We also have the phenomenal Junior Frederick, Bobby Jackson. I am flanked by the phenomenal duo over here, right? Listen, we've been doing this all week this week. So we're on a kind of a roll. We're on kind of a roll, and we want to help you guys to add a zero to you. Number one, add a zero to you, add a zero to your confidence, your dominance, so that you can brand you, not what you do, and add a zero. What do I mean by add a zero? Make your yearly income monthly, your monthly income weekly, and your weekly income daily. And it all starts with you. Phenomenal morning, gentlemen. How's everybody doing this morning?
Phenomenal morning. Feeling absolutely amazing. So Sean, I started adding a little bit of cardio to my workout routine. I'm not a big fan of cardio, I must admit. That's not my thing. I'm more,
Good.
calisthenics, strength training, but I decided, you know what, let me start shaving away on the little bits now. Right. So I started in cardio, not like Bobby, Bobby's always out on, crazy runs. But I just did a little bit of biking this morning. So I feel pretty good. I feel pretty good.
Good. He's got me writing, guys. He's got me writing already. Bobby, how you doing?
Absolutely phenomenal, gentlemen. And to Junior's point, Saturday mornings, y'all know I go for my run. It's really ironic now. Y'all know I do a long run every Saturday morning because we say it so many times, right? So I did my traditional morning run. And I remember when I was shaving weight and I was just getting back into running, I would do my slow run at, say, a sub 12, sub 11, which means I would run several miles, upwards of 5 miles or so at about a 12-minute to 11-minute pace. Now, this morning, I was just feeling something. I was feeling something. And I decided to run 5+ miles or so at a sub 9 minute. I decided to run sub 9 this morning. And what I realized was it's the same distance. It's the same distance. The only thing that changes is the effort that it requires to get there. And I thought that as I ran, that was extremely profound because if you're in business, you're going to get where you're going. You're going to get where you're going.
That's right.
And you can get there at a 12-minute mile pace, or you can get there at an 8-minute mile pace. And the speed in which you get there is completely dependent upon the effort you put in along the way. So I thought that was pretty interesting.
Wow, you guys got me taking notes already, man. Super early. The first thing that I said is that strange and uncomfortable from Junior. You want to do strange and uncomfortable things. You want to put yourself in strange and uncomfortable predicaments, especially when it comes to your business, especially when it comes to your risk, especially when it comes to your growth. If you're not in a strange and uncomfortable predicament, then I guarantee you, like, you're taking it easy. You're taking it easy. As a matter of fact, you're taking it softly. Soft was a word that you couldn't say around people, right? Where we come from, you couldn't say soft. Soft was an insult, right? But listen to this. If you're not putting yourself in strange and uncomfortable, challenging predicaments consistently in your business, in your revenue, in your physicality, then you're actually playing it. Use the word, you're playing it softly. Number two, one thing that I wrote down is that your body will do what the mind tells it to. Your body will do what the mind tells it to. And I'll go on to say again, I'll just say it, your business will do what your mind tells it to. We're going to go deep into the knowledge this morning. I hope you guys are ready. And number three, Bobby said something, and he said that it was based on the decisions that you make, but he said the effort. He said the effort. And I just wrote down the pressure that you put on yourself, because a lot of times we don't put the right pressure on ourselves. We have an expectation, but we put the wrong degree of pressure, and then our results don't match our expectation based on the effort that we apply to what we're trying to do. So again, I hope everybody's getting the energy and knowing what kind of day this is going to be. right? We're going to start early. We're not playing any games, and we're going to help you build your business at a zero to you and your revenue through branding you and not what you do. We'll be right back. Let's grow. It's very important that you know yourself to the highest degree possible, because it's through knowing ourselves that we're able to know other people. You are the most important person in the room, and the better that you know yourself, the better that you're able to communicate to others. So you're not only playing the game knowing who you are, but you're also playing the game knowing who everyone else is, so that you're not playing blind.
He's extremely engaging with people. He has a fantastic smile, and he's just very high energy person.
This is called leadership development. So we have to be independently knowledgeable and considerate to know who we are, so we can more effectively know who other people are. As the leader, it's your responsibility to allocate resources in the right places. If you don't know how to communicate effectively, you're losing the battle. I said Sean Ra'is. I'm proud. I said Sean Ra'is. Leadership is not the brand they made for us.
Listen, he brought fire, heat. He didn't hold back.
20 years down the line, what I could sell, why not serve first? Service over salary. Branding like a leader closes the gap for people who want branding. Speaking like a leader closes the gap for people who are nervous about speaking. If Steve Jobs would have speculated, we wouldn't have Apple.
He changed lives. He helped people open up their business and start their business.
We are the brand. Some people say, Sean, should I quit my job? Mentally, yes.
As a speaker too, to be able to learn from him and watch him and you know, game respects game. And I want to have that much game someday.
The right client, pay $500,000 for what you do. You have to be bold in your beliefs.
He has been an amazing asset to this event and a pleasure to work with. Very captivating, collaborative, worked very well with the audience.
I want to help you. Put a 0 behind your number, right?
The session was great. How he is online, virtually, he is even more phenomenal in person.
Be the face of change that you want to see. Stop asking questions and start giving demands.
The entire team has just been absolutely incredible. They are a joy to work with. They go above and beyond.
Give yourself a round of applause. Yes, yes, yes. The reason why I did this and what I do is help leaders to become brands and brand themselves. You train people how to treat you by how you treat yourself. I teach authenticity marketing. If people can take advantage of you, they will in your personal or professional existence.
My biggest takeaway just from day one is you are the brand. I would recommend it to anybody that's really looking to build a personal brand.
Just the brand in general has changed my life. I've grown so much since I've been a part of this.
I see myself in what he does, and I believe in it just as much as I believe in myself.
Listen, guys, listen. This is what gets me excited. You want to know what gets Sean excited? If you want to know what gets Sean Ra'is excited, listen to this. Travis the Critic just said that he's just getting cleaned up from his morning run. #RunGang. Right now, that's culture change. That's a culture shift. Now, I don't know if he's been running for 10 years, and you could put it in the chat, Travis, if you've been, running for the past 10 years, but I would go on to suggest that there's just the slightest possibility that Bobby's consistent talk about running and our consistent talk about physicality has had some kind of impact on this gentleman. This is what I'm talking about when I say culture shift, culture change. You guys want to grow your business, you want to grow your brand, you want to grow your revenue, but you got the wrong surrounding elements. You got the wrong environment. You're in the wrong environment. It's not going to work when you get a quick flu shot And that's it, just one, to protect you for the rest of your life. It's not going to happen. You got to be in the right environment. You got to be submersed, completely inundated in the right environment. And thank you very much for solidifying that and confirming that. He says, nope, inspired by this group. That's what gets me excited. That's what gets me going every morning. Let's go.
Sean, so by the way, shout out to Travis. Shout out to Travis for taking
Run
action.
gang, let's go.
And this is a perfect segue into the next question. It's a question that we often get a little frequently, which is, why isn't what I'm learning working? And I have a really good I have a really good feeling what you're gonna say about this, Sean. But I'm gonna go to you. So, Sean, for the people asking this question, why isn't what I'm learning working? What would you say?
Why isn't what I'm learning working? Okay, so let me give a premise. Let me give a premise first. I don't work with newbies primarily. It's like a twinkling of the night when someone will come to me and say, I've never had a coach, never had a course. I'm just starting. I just don't know where to start. I've never invested money in myself. No one says that. Says no one, right? I never invested in anything. This is my first time speaking to a coach. Says no one. The reality is most people come to me when they say, I've had 10 courses and 5 coaches. I've got a master's degree I've worked with, and they start rattling off the names. Some of them you know, some of them you don't know. And what I say to them is, but what you're going to learn here is a little bit more than knowledge. So number one, there's levels to knowledge. There is levels to knowledge, just like there's levels to everything else. There's levels to knowledge. There's levels to health. There's levels to relationship. There's levels to business. There's levels to being what you think is financially secure. I hope COVID taught us that. There's levels. So one level of knowledge is generalized knowledge. Generalized knowledge. And that's what most people have, and that's why they're not successful. Most people have generalized knowledge. They dib and dab. They jump in a course, go through it one time, and they generally have an idea of what the expert was talking about. And then there's specialized knowledge. Specialized knowledge is someone who really has gone through the material, deep dived themselves into the content, and then began to put it into context. And this is where money starts to happen. Guys, I want you to understand this. So when Junior says work, why doesn't it work? It's because they haven't studied enough to go from generalized knowledge to specialized knowledge. Specialized knowledge is when you begin to differentiate yourself and categorize yourself and cut yourself off from everything else, and you become an expert. Not only are you learning from an expert, but they transfer the expertise. And then the form of the where you get the real money comes from activated knowledge or actualized knowledge. So there's generalized knowledge, specialized knowledge, and then actualized knowledge, when you actually become the content and you're constantly activating it and executing on it.
Wow. Sean, while you were speaking, I wrote down, in fact, I was literally just about to write down something. When it comes to the application of knowledge, right, there's something called the input to output equation. So the input to output equation. So whatever you're doing, there's supposed to be a certain amount of input for you to get an output. So in other words, if you want to make $1 million, there's a certain thing or certain number of things that you have to put in so you could get that output. And I feel like most people, they haven't figured out what that input to output equation is for them and for their business, whatever it is. So if you're selling cars, for example, certain number of calls, certain number of customers that you have to see to get a certain number of results. And the great thing is it works regardless of what business you're in. That's how people build systems, for example. So it's like you have to do this in order to get that. So if you're looking to, let's say, shred fat, for example, there's a certain input, there's a certain way that you eat so that you could get that specific result. There's a certain way that you eat so that you could get that specific result. So I think for me, the application of knowledge starts by figuring out what is that input to output ratio. And then you also have things like volume, which goes into what you're talking about, which is specialized knowledge. So specialized knowledge, or let's just say leverage, right? So we're always talking about leverage. Leverage.
Very good. Very good.
Leverage is like, okay, the volume of your input. If I had to do an equation, so volume times scale equals leverage. So the volume, so let's say sales, for example, the number of calls that you do times your level of skill on the phone equals the amount of leverage you have or the amount of output that you get. The number of crunches I do multiplied by how well I do them gives me the result. So I think if people sort of look at it from, okay, what do I have to put in to get out? Then they know what they should actually look for. And
Very
without
good.
actually knowing what that is, like you're literally almost wasting time. Because check this out, and I'll pass it over to Bobby. A lot of people in our space, let's say coaches, consultants, etc., they always ask me like, how do I generate more sales? Or how do I get leads? And I was telling somebody last week that it's not necessarily that you're doing the wrong thing. It's just that you're not doing enough of the right thing. So you're performing the right activity, but you're not doing it for the right number of times. So you might want to contact 20 people, but if your input to output is like 2%, 2% of 20 is 0.
Say that again.
So if your conversion rate, I don't want to get too technical here, but let's just say conversion rate is 2%, and you're only doing 20 outreach. 2% of 20 is 0. So that's why you get no results. So the input to output just gives you 0. All you need to go up to 100, and then you get more results. So you're not doing necessarily the wrong thing. You're just not doing the right thing enough times.
Very good.
That's super, super important.
Very good. Bobby, what you got for that?
Oh, y'all know I love going deep. I'm so excited right now. My whole voice, I feel like changed slightly. I'm so excited right now. I'm gonna stack this up the way I wrote it down here because I can just feel the energy of this call is going to be a great one. So I'm gonna start by saying what the eyes can see and what the body feel are two different things. So when we talk about education, we talk about knowledge. Like I want to stack this up, but I want to give you a picture because a lot of times people can see pictures and understand better. So I've used the shooting analogy before. We're not going to go deep into this one, but if I'm on the rifle range and I'm shooting the target, what the eyes see is me pull the trigger and the target impacted, but they don't have any idea of what the body feels. What the body feels is, in fact, a high, firm pistol grip, a slow, steady trigger squeeze, a squeezing of the trigger at the natural respiratory pause, a gaze at the iron sight, and a focus on the reticle, the stability of my elbows, the flatness of my legs if I'm in the prone position. So what's very interesting, I think, and why a lot of people, back to the point of the question, is what am I doing things, but they're not working? It's probably because what you're seeing is only a fraction of what's happening.
Come on, man.
That's just the first piece. What you see and what the body actually feels are two completely different things. In other words, what you're seeing your favorite, say, guru or entertainer do is only a fraction of what's being done. So that's one thing.
So hold on. Let me ask a question on that. Would the difference between what you see and what's really happening be the difference between generalized knowledge and specialized knowledge?
Exactly. 100%.
And then they're actually in actualized knowledge. So the mechanics of what they're actually doing isn't even, it's subconscious now because they've actually learned it through years and years of dedicated study.
Yes, coach. No other way to get it done.
I just wanted to break that down for the people, to elemental levels before you go on to the next piece. What Bobby's saying is what you're seeing is done with ease, and it makes it look easy. So you think that you can do it as easy. And if you just say, okay, if I learn what they're learning, if I learn the knowledge, the generalized knowledge, then I'll be able to get the results. And what we're saying to you is no. As a matter of fact, if you don't know what you're doing, you might squeeze the trigger and break your neck.
Ooh, so true. And it's not, too far of an exaggeration. There's things that you can do on a. We're not going to go down that road, but
Nope, go ahead, Bobby. Go to the next piece. Go to the
next piece.
That's right.
Next piece is this, and it's a perfect segue. When we talk about knowledge, what generalized knowledge, where I see a lot of people mess this up is that they get really good at knowing the answer, but they never get good at knowing how to solve the problem. I'll say that again. People get good, and they teach this in school. This is how they're training us to be. They're training you to know the answer. What do you do when you get, or how do you score well on a test? You score well on the test by knowing the answer. You don't score well on the test by solving the problem in ways that we're not instructed. Have you ever been a second grader? Most of you all have. Have you ever been a fifth grader? Most of us have. And that teacher said, you got the answer right, but the way you solve the problem isn't the way I taught you how to solve the problem. I'm deducting points. We're teaching it this way. And if you don't do it this way, I don't care if you got the right answer. I'm marking it off. So there's a difference between knowledge and education. Knowledge is in generalized knowledge. So educo is the Greek word for education. It's the root word, rather. The root word for education comes from educo, Greek. And educo means to induce, to train, to bring out of, within, or to develop. So the core word that I want to lean into here is induce. So induce means that you're doing it without force, like you're inducing the outcome. So when you know the answer, it's almost like you're saying, hey, I know this, so it's got to be right. But when you leverage education, you're able to induce the outcome. You're able to alchemize, if that's a word. You're able to create solutions for problems on the spot due to the tools that you have. And before I pass it back to Sean, I'll give you guys this last piece. I'm telling you, I love going deep. I really do. But this last piece is disciplines compound. Please write that down if you're taking notes. Disciplines compound. And I'm going to break this down for you guys very, very quickly. I got two concepts, and then this is going to be my theme. I'm staying right here all call. I can feel it. All right. Here's three things I want you all to write down. Number one, dependent. Number two, independent. Number three, interdependent. Knowledge and activity. So in business, revenue is dependent. So your business is dependent on revenue. Once you have profit, the business becomes independent upon outside entities. Once the business has profit, it moves towards equity, and then it's interdependent. Interdependent means it can leverage different things to maximize the business system. Now, we're not going any deeper than that. I'm going to give you that right now, and then I'm going to my next piece. And we're going to circle back throughout the call. Last piece that I have for this before turning it over is finance, my world. So I want to give you guys these compound disciplines. So it starts with math. Math requires arithmetic, algebra, geometry, and calculus. That's what I had to learn in school and in college in order to have the first fundamental understanding of finance. The second thing I had to learn was accounting. And accounting has two forms, managerial accounting and financial accounting. My disciplines are compounded. I hope you're seeing this. The second thing I had to learn was economics. Economics comes in two forms, macroeconomics and microeconomics. And then the last thing that I had to learn to be able to call myself a CFO and be a CFO is I had to learn finance. And finance comes in two primary forms, which is debt finance and equity finance. But I, because of my education, have been able to develop what I call value finance, which means I have the ability to wield the discipline of finance due to my fundamental understanding of mathematics, accounting, and economics. So education and knowledge requires a compounding of disciplines.
You know, I got a lot to say. I think we're going to take a break, though. I think I want to give you guys time to just finish writing and kind of digest what he just said and what Junior just said before him and what I said before that. And we'll be right back. Let's grow.
Business is like a game of chess. It's not checkers. If you don't know how to lead with a personal brand, then you're losing the battle.
Everything about Sean's talk was fantastic. I mean, I got so much from it.
So he was really bringing fire and passion and just love and spirit to let everybody else know how do you become a leader amongst the leaders.
You hold the key in your hand. There is more power in this phone than there was that took the first man to the moon.
His energy, his dynamic information, gave a really great presentation.
I didn't ask for any money. I didn't have an offer. I had a heart to help people and meet them where they were at and find their need and fulfill it.
Sean is the bomb.
I don't talk theory, I don't talk hyperbole, I don't talk opinion. Nothing I talk is anything but evidence-based.
During the G Circle retreat in Atlanta, I had the pleasure and the honor of listening to Mr. Sean Raiz. He will not only impact your organization, but he will elevate your team to another level.
When you change you, when you put you into the equation, the whole system is different. I guarantee you, you got the right thing. You are the right person. If you can present yourself in the best way possible, there's no negotiation.
His energy is infectious, and I have so many takeaways from the presentation that I can't wait to get started and implement them today to see the result.
It's very important that you know yourself to the highest degree possible, because it's through knowing ourselves that we're able to know other people. You are the most important person in the room, and the better that you know yourself, the better that you're able to communicate to others. So you're not only playing the game knowing who you are, but you're also playing the game knowing who everyone else is, so that you're not playing blind.
He's extremely engaging with people. He has a fantastic smile, and he's just very high energy person.
This is called leadership development. So we have to be independently knowledgeable and considerate to know who we are, so we can more effectively know who other people are. As the leader, it's your responsibility to allocate resources in the right places. If you don't know how to communicate effectively, you're losing the battle. All right. So guys, there's so much. There's so much gravity to what's been said this morning. I want to try to put it under a microscope for you. I'm going to try, as hard as it's going to be, I'm going to try to put it under a microscope for you. Behaviorally, psychologically, and many times economically, we are carbon copies of our environment. Carbon copies of our environment. What do I mean? Many of you have a favorite food, but it's not really your favorite food. It's the favorite food of the people that raised you. You have a culture. You have a way of being. Your way of being comes from ways of knowing. And the ways of knowing are dependent upon your environment. And this is why it was said a long time ago that if you took an aristocrat, a child born in aristocracy in Scotland or Europe, noble, blue blood, and you took that child, that baby, and you put that baby in the ghetto, and you took a baby from the ghetto, from a, let's say, impoverished, lack of education, criminality, all kinds of subversive natures, and you take that baby at birth and you put them in the aristocracy. So let's say you just switch babies at birth. So you've got a ghetto child in Scotland, 19th century, born into blue blood, not born into blue blood, but supplanted into blue blood nobility. And you take the noble child, the blue blood noble aristocrat child, and you put them in the ghetto. What you're going to have is a blue blood aristocrat, noble criminal. And you're going to have a child who was born in the ghetto to underprivileged situations who's going to be an aristocrat and no language and arts and science and math and technology and be walking around holding his nose up wearing a white wig. Same thing as when you take a child and you raise them by wolves, they'll believe that they're a wolf. So what am I saying? People come to me with all of these courses and all of these coaches that they've had, but they've never stuck around long enough to go from generalized knowledge to specialized knowledge to actualized knowledge. That's why it doesn't work. You leave too early. You check out too early. You know how you watch a movie and you feel some kind of way, or you turn on music and you feel some kind of way? There is a term highly popularized in Think and Grow Rich. Auto-suggestion. Auto-suggestion. Now, Bobby knows what he knows because he's inundated himself and submersed himself into the environment of economics and finances. This is why he knows what he knows. This is why he's a CFO. The reason why I am an industrial and organizational psychologist, professional speaker, executive coach, organizational consulting is because I have inundated myself, submersed myself for the past more than 10 years in that field of study. I don't go to the left, don't go to the right. Business is my foundation. The reason why you take a sales course and don't get results is because you leave the sales course. You think it's, you apply what you learned in the second grade, which is to record, memorize, and regurgitate information, as opposed to applying it to your life and to your business. It just doesn't work the way you think it does. You've been educated the wrong way. And this is why sometimes I say the educational system is broken. This is why I say that the face of leadership needs to change. And we need to go from shallow to deep. And that's why I say don't go wide, go deep, and don't change your niche until you got results. I see it all the time. People come into a course and they go through the course and they're like, okay, I got the course, I'm good. Or they come into a coaching situation and they're like, okay, I know what's here. I've went through it once. I'm good. And they're not. They might be able to regurgitate things that they've heard, but it hasn't gone from the conscious mind to the subconscious mind. And it hasn't gone from generalized knowledge to specialized knowledge. And that shows up in their results, lack thereof. So the lack of results is where it bears truth that you're not ready to leave yet. And all of these courses and all of these coaches that you've worked with, it all works. Let me just say that. It all works. And how do you know it works? Because the expert is crushing it. The guru, the figurehead, the person at the front of the class that's giving the course is actually successful based on the skills he's trying to give you. But you're learning it as a student as opposed to a practitioner. See, we're supposed to be student practitioners, which means as you learn, you do. To induce, as Bobby said, as you learn, you do. If you're not applying the knowledge, then you're stuck. And that's where a lot of people come to me and say, Sean, I'm stuck. And I say, yeah, I know. And they say all that stuff, it didn't work. And it does work. But it only works if you do. And it won't work if you leave too soon. You've got to stay in the environment long enough to allow the information to go from conscious to subconscious, like I said, levels to knowledge, and from generalized to specialized. And you can be a specialist with no results. Listen to me. I'm about to make somebody mad. This is what professors are. And I'm sorry, but I have to say it. This is what professors are. And this is what I realized in college. I learned that I was being taught by a bunch of specialists with no results. A bunch of people that you could wake them up asleep and they'd be able to tell you all of the information, regurgitate it at will, and read it backwards because they were specialists. They had gone through the field of study that long. But when it came to application and when it came to results, they had very, very little. And that's why they had a job and not a business. That's why you got a whole bunch of information, you know, a whole bunch of facts and figures, but when you look in the bank account, those zeros are missing. because you're in and out. You're dipping your toe in. You're saying, I did this person's course. I've been in this person's course. I've been in this. You're like an information junkie. Personal and professional development addiction. Like it's a real thing.
Oh yeah, I think J. Abraham has a saying for it. I think he calls it intellectual entertainment.
Ah, yes, yes. Abraham, J. Abraham, yes.
Abraham calls it intellectual entertainment. Sean, but it actually goes back to exactly what I was just talking about. Sometimes it's not that you're doing the wrong thing, you're just not doing enough of the right thing.
Yes.
But what I find so interesting is that, so it said that if anybody spends 18 minutes, just 18 minutes a day on any subject for 365 days, they could become better than 90% of the population on the planet in that subject. If I wanted to learn economics and I spent 18 minutes a day for 365 days, I would know enough about economics to be better than 90% of the population on Earth. Literally. Only 18 minutes, not an hour, only 18 minutes.
Wow.
So the question becomes, like, when people don't follow through, do they really want stuff? That's what I start to ask myself. Like, do you actually want it? Like, people will say, okay, well, there's a difference between wanting something and then actually wanting something. So I may want to ice skate, but I don't want to ice skate bad enough to, to go to the ice rink and put on the little skates and stuff and try to practice. So, there's different levels of wants. There's different levels of want. I may not want it, as bad enough. And one of my mentors used to say something. He used to say, and I'm just paraphrasing it. That's not how he said it, but he said, basically, unactivated knowledge becomes garbage. Unactivated knowledge becomes garbage. So in other words, I think there's another saying for it, Sean, where you're from. They say, think it, do it. Think it, do it. Unactivated knowledge becomes garbage. You think it, you do it. And that's how you start to learn stuff. When you think of something, if you're thinking about, okay, how do I make let's say a flyer on Canva, you think about it for a little while, and then you jump on Canva, and then you start to actually make the flyer, and then you learn in the process. I guarantee you, if you dedicate 18 minutes a day to learning flyers on Canva, you'll be better than 90%, if not 95% of the world's population when it comes to, you making those things.
Wow.
Now, when it comes to different levels of knowledge, there's always the things that you know. There's what you know, okay? There's what you don't know that you don't know, right? And then there's what you don't know. So there's what you know, what you don't know, or what you know that you don't know. So, for example,
Who's on? Hold on. Who's on first? Who's on first? Go ahead. Say it again. Say it again. Slow down a little bit so everybody can catch it. You know it's early in the morning, Junior. It's early in the morning and it's Saturday. They've been at work all week. Come on now.
Yeah, I'm up early every day, Sean. So this is actually it's a little late for me, but okay. So there's what you know. So it's what you actually know. So everybody here, you actually know stuff, right? So whether you're in finances, whether you're in economics, whether you're in coaching, consulting, speaking, there's stuff that you know. Then there's always the stuff that you know that you don't know. So, for example, you may be a phenomenal speaker, but you know that you don't know how to close deals on the stage. Like, like, hey, I'm great at speaking. Why aren't I making money when I'm on the stage? So it's called a knowledge gap. We call it a knowledge gap. Now, there's that, and then there's also the things that you don't know at all. So there's knowledge that exists that you're not even aware of. And Bobby said something so powerful a while ago. And what I wrote down perception and awareness. So Bobby said, what you think is going on is not what's actually going on. So, and it's so interesting, Sean, just this morning before this call, I was actually writing down some stuff, and I was looking at this interview with two influencers, and they were talking about wealth creation, internet marketing, all types of stuff. And it just really opened my mind. And I'm thinking to myself, for the people who don't have mentors, like, how do you break out of the sort of circle of knowledge that you know? right? So imagine somebody who has never seen this podcast. Like they're living somewhere in a remote location with their community. They're limited to the knowledge of the community, right? How does somebody break out of that if they don't have an example or mentor of, I'm asking myself, what would I do?
They don't.
Mm.
A person with no access never grows. They have to get out of their environment. They have to introduce themselves to new information. You can't evolve.
But let me add something to that, Sean.
Okay.
Let's take another example. Let's use the example of new knowledge. New quote unquote new knowledge. Okay.
Yes.
So let's say I'm Isaac Newton and I'm sitting under the apple tree 700 years ago. Of course, the knowledge around me says one thing. Okay.
That's right.
So I'm coming up, I'm developing something that is 100% like at that time, revolutionary. The world has never seen it. It's new. I have no point of, well, I won't say I have no point of reference, but there's nothing out there that I can look at to say, okay, I want to do something like this. How would I go about doing that? That's what I was asking myself. And what I came up with after listening to Elon Musk. Elon Musk says that there's a certain way that he thinks, and it's what you call first principles thinking. It's called first principles thinking, where Musk basically boils things down to what we call the absolute truth. So there's different levels of truth. It said that every truth is also half false, and every false is also half truth. Okay? So there's different levels of truth. And the absolute truth is the truth that is not arguable. So if we go outside, the sky is blue on a good condition that nobody could tell me, regardless of race, religion, etc., the sky is blue. That's an absolute truth. And then there's your perceived truth, or what you know to be true based on who you are, where you come from, etc., your perception. But basically, he says that he boils things down to the absolute truth, and then he reasons from the truth and not from the past. So most of us reason from the past. For example,
Nice.
if I did this input and I got this output before. So for example, I use sales as an example, a great example. For the people who just started in sales, and if you're in business, you're in sales, you may have made 20 calls. Person hangs up on you. Most people assume if I get on the phone and I call people, in the future, they're going to hang up on me because somebody hung up on me in the past. So most people, they reason based on the past, but Musk was saying that, you know what, he reasons based on the absolute truth. The absolute truth is this thing works. There are people doing it right now that makes millions of dollars.
That's right.
And if that's the truth, it also means that it can be true for me as well. So the question becomes, what do I need to do? So after you reason from the truth, right, you state the goal, you break down the goal into objectives. One thing that I do is I say, okay, what are the assumptions that I'm making about these obstacles, quote unquote obstacles? So for example, you have a goal. The goal is to make $1 million. Let's just say, okay. Next part, what are the obstacles? What are the things stopping me from making $1 million? Okay, I have 5 things. What am I assuming to be true about these 5 things? And then what is the absolute truth? So you may be assuming that I need to sell, and I'll use Sean as an example. So let's say somebody's assuming I need to sell like 10,000 $100 products to make $1 million. That's an assumption. So then
Terrible one too.
the absolute truth is, hey, no, you don't. You can sell one thing for $1 million. You can sell 10 things for $1 million, for 10K or whatever, and you could get to the same destination. So then after that, you go, okay, well, based on the truth, what is the new action that I'm going to take? And that's something that I do personally. Like for me, like first principles thinking. And I just wanted to put it out there. So guys, if you're stuck currently in your circle of knowledge and you don't have a mentor, you don't have a coach, but you're wondering like, what can I do to really and truly start to change my life for real? Like get some new action. Like that's just one strategy or one method that you could use. Like boiling things down to the absolute truth reasoning from truth and taking action based on what you know to be absolutely true is going to change your life. Yep.
Fire, pure fire, guys. If we're putting a link on the bottom just so everybody's aware before Bobby begins. The reason why we have a link on the bottom is because after this, if you want to learn how to activate quickly, right? It's not a long call. However, there will be a private call after this live. So I know, but people was like, why did you switch from the Zoom? Sean, when we was on the Zoom, everybody could, interact and all of that. So after this call, there will be a Zoom. It will be private. It will not be live. So if you want to come and ask a scary question, if you don't want to be, if you don't want to put it in the chat, if you don't want to put your scary question in the chat, it's okay. You'll be able to come in after this and we'll be able to answer one question each. Bobby.
It's a lot there. There was definitely a lot there, Junior. I took copious notes, but for the sake of time,
that was a clinical dissertation.
It definitely was. It was much needed too. So here's how I'm going to boil mine down and keep it very concise. I can beat you with the basics. I can beat you with the basics. In the Marines, we say this thing, and we might not be the originators of it, but we say there's brilliance in the basics. When I was a seasoned sergeant, young staff sergeant, I made my own mantra. I said, through brilliant basics come complex excellence. And I stuck with that throughout my career. So here's something I want to give you guys. So philosophy is it's the love of knowledge, the study of knowledge acquisition, just all of this stuff, right? So what I want to do is I want to give you some enlightenment. You've probably never heard this before, and you probably have, but I'm going to break it down for you as simple as I can. What most people think a business is not what a business is. Listen to me carefully. From a CFO standpoint, from the most financial standpoint possible, a CFO is a part of the C-suite for a reason. So I'm about to give it to you. A business is nothing more than a system. It's a system. Now that you understand this, I want to walk you back through generalized knowledge, specialized knowledge, and actualized knowledge. This is where most entrepreneurs lose their minds. Generalized knowledge will let you know that you need revenue. But revenue does not save businesses. Businesses can have revenue and still not work. Money can be coming in, but if there's more money going out than is coming in, the business does not work. Nope. So generalized knowledge is not enough. Generalized knowledge will say, I need to make money. So you know that. Now let's go to specialized knowledge. Specialized knowledge tells you what to focus on so that you can optimize resources, which will enable you to profit. Profitable businesses go out of business all the time. Profit is not enough.
More often than not.
More often than not. Profit doesn't pay bills, ladies and gentlemen. Hear me. Profit is not cash. Profit is a point in time based off of when expenses and revenue is recorded. Hear me. Profit is a point in time based off of when expenses and revenue is recorded. So you can't pay bills with profit. So specialized knowledge will enable you to profit in your business. But actualized knowledge allows you to optimize the system, which is your business, and turn it into a multiplier. Your business must multiply its resources. We call this equity. Equity. We call this owner's equity. So when you look at a balance sheet, you have assets, liabilities, and equity. As a CFO, I see so many businesses go out of business unnecessarily. They don't have to go out of business. They go out of business because they do not understand how to go from revenue to profit to system multiplier. And you will not learn that in a book. You will not learn that on YouTube. You will not learn that by, what do they say? No one makes it successful by accident. Like, this thing is not happening for you on a whim. You must get in the right environment with the right people that have done what you're trying to do so that you can, in fact, build the system. And I know we have to go to a break, so the last thing I'll give you is this. The reason most businesses never get off the ground, like the reason that they can't get revenue right, is because they don't understand supply and demand. That takes feeling around. People try to solve the revenue problem with money. Money doesn't solve revenue problems. Money doesn't solve revenue problems because a revenue problem is a supply and demand problem. It's not a efficiency or optimization problem. And supply is how efficiently can you provide it to the market, and can you even provide it? And then demand is it there? So no amount of money is going to solve that problem for you. You have to figure that out. Most people don't want to figure it out. And most people don't know how to figure it out because they don't have the information. So their revenue just sucks. Those that do have revenue but can't find profitability is because they don't do things efficiently. So revenue is sales. You can't sell if you don't have supply and demand down. Now, efficiency is profit. You cannot profit if you don't understand the mechanics of the business that you're operating. We call this the economics of the business. If you don't understand the business economics, the unit economics, like, you cannot optimize that business. Now, those that profit but cannot stabilize and cannot produce consistent returns over time don't have equity, meaning they can't sell their business for anything. Like, they make money, but the business isn't worth anything. Meaning if they die, the business dies with them. There's no equity in the business. This is the result of an inability to optimize. And you cannot optimize what you have not systematized. And all of these things are why businesses fail. And the chief reason for this is because most people are looking for a high-paying job than looking to develop a highly functioning system. And that's what a business is.
I said Sean Ra'is. I'm proud. I said Sean Ra'is. Leadership is not the brand they made for us.
Listen, he brought fire, heat. He didn't hold back.
20 years down the line, what I could sell, why not serve first? Service over salary. Branding like a leader closes the gap for people who want branding. Speaking like a leader closes the gap for people who are nervous about speaking. If Steve Jobs would have speculated, we wouldn't have Apple.
He changed lives. He helped people open up their business and start their business.
We are the brand. Some people say, Sean, should I quit my job? Mentally, yes.
As a speaker too, to be able to learn from him and watch him and game respects game. And I want to have that much game someday.
The right client, pay $500,000 for what you do. You have to be bold in your beliefs.
He has been an amazing asset to this event and a pleasure to work with. Very captivating, collaborative, worked very well with the audience.
I want to help you. Put a 0 behind your number, right?
The session was great. How he is online, virtually, he is even more phenomenal in person.
Be the face of change that you want to see. Stop asking questions and start giving demands.
The entire team has just been absolutely incredible. They are a joy to work with. They go above and beyond.
Give yourself a round of applause. Yes. Okay. So we began with first, guys, just give a round of applause to the phenomenal Junior Frederick and most phenomenal Bobby Jackson. They have given you a dissertation, a clinical theory, something that dispelled the theory completely and made it a reality, and a clinical dissertation on this, how you go from generalized to specialized to actualized knowledge and what the difference is. Now, let me tell you what Bruce Lee said. I study masters. I'm not interested in dabblers. I'm not interested. That's why a lot of people ask me, Sean, did you hear about such and such? And did you know what such and such did or what such and such said? And I'm like, I don't even know who such and such is. I don't even know who you're talking about. I didn't watch anything. Like, I only concern myself with the highest level of mastery and specialization. That's it. So a lot of people will say, Sean, do you know about this one or that one? Or, did you see this one or see what that one did? Lad, did you watch anything? I don't watch anything. I stay concentrated because your results and your translation, like how you translate your life in terms of economics, finances, relationships, health, all of those things will be the core essence of the 5 people that you're around the most. So I keep that tight. I don't let people in with a couple $1 million of success. Like I don't know anyone like that, but I do know masters, and Bruce Lee was one of them. Bruce Lee was a master, and this is what he had to say on the same topic in another way. He said, I fear not the man who has thrown 10,000 kicks. I fear the person who has thrown one kick 10,000 times. And I'm going to use Bobby as an example. I'm going to use Bobby as an example of what I said and why people don't get results when they dabble, when they dip their toe in, when they're distracted. And I talked about distraction yesterday. Again, don't be distracted. Take that link, put that link in the browser, and you'll be on a call with us after this call, right? So don't be a dabbler. Don't be distracted. Don't miss the link at the bottom. Take the link, type it into a browser, join the call, because after this call, you'll be able to ask one question. Bobby's been with us now. How many years, Bobby?
About 3 years now.
About 3 years. Yeah, so Bobby's been around for 3 years. He didn't dabble. He didn't jump. He's not a professional development junkie. He didn't jump from community to community to community to community to say, I've been over here with this one, I've been over here with that one, I've been over here with this one, I've been over here with this one, and I'm making a little bit of money. I'm getting some success, right? What he chose to do was go deep instead of going wide. And he stayed in one place, focused on one thing for 3 years. Year 1, he increased his revenue by 400%. Year 2, he built on that 400% of revenue increase. So he started at 0, guys, just so you're aware, like every January 1st, you're at 0. So his new 0 became 400% revenue increase. And his next year, he started at 0 and grew another 400% revenue increase. So that's 800% revenue, 800% results, 800% efficiency increase. And then, of course, last year, he started at 0 again. Welcome 0. Well, 0's coming, guys. You better add a 0 now because 0's coming. We're about 3 months away from 0. You're about 3. I don't care what your revenue is. I don't care what your clientele is. I don't care what your business looks like right now. You're 3 months away from 0. So he started at 0 again. And then where are you at now, Bobby? I know you passed 400.
Past 400. We're probably at about 405, 410. So
405, 410. I predict no less than 425% revenue increase, and then next year 500%. And that's because he's taken that generalized knowledge, turned it into specialized knowledge, and stuck around and turned it into actualized knowledge. The reason you're not getting results in whatever it is that you do, I don't have anything bad to say about anybody. But the reason why you're not, you know what I have something bad to say? Habits. I have something bad to say about habits, attention, and the ability to concentrate and focus. If you're distracted and you don't have the ability to concentrate and focus, the reason why you're not getting results is because you don't stay in one place long enough to let the knowledge go from general to specialized to actualized. Guys, this has been another edition of The Breakfast with the Brand. I'm your host, Sean Rais, as always, flanked by the phenomenal Bobby Jackson and Junior Frederick. Click on that link because we'll be over there in 1 second. Again, I'm going to say it for everybody in the back, down the block, and around the corner that have that gap of concentration. Click on the link, take the link, put it in a browser, and we'll see you on the other end of the call. So let me add that real quick so everybody can see it again in the comments. Let me go ahead and type it in because I get that a lot of times. Sean, you didn't put the link in the actual comments, so I can't follow the link. Okay, no problem. Here we go. Brand mentorship. Brand mentorship. So why are we doing this call? Why are we going so above and beyond? because we really are the person and we really want to help you. We don't want to just take zeros from you. We want to give zeros to you. I am big on charitable acts. I am big on helping you go to the next level. And how can I prove I can help you if I don't actually help you? I'll see you on the other side. This is another edition of the Breakfast with the Brand.
Real quick, Coach.
Phenomenal job. Yes, sir.
We're missing an S. The link in the chat.